Somebody under the sound of my voice needs to hear this tonight. You spent too many years pouring your strength into places that never poured back into you. You've been distracted by people who don't clap for you, drained by battles that were never yours, delayed by expectations that were never God's assignment for your life. But 2025 is different. This is the year where God is calling you, turn your gaze inward to focus on the work He's doing inside you, to silence every noise that competes with your purpose. Because hear me, you cannot step into a new season carrying old distractions. You cannot build destiny while babysitting drama. You cannot grow if you're constantly watering everyone else's garden while yours is wilting. This year, God is commanding you to focus on your healing, focus on your discipline, focus on your calling, focus on the why He is shaping for the future. If they walk away, let them. If they don't understand, release them. If they're not growing, stop shrinking to meet them. This is the year you rise. This is the year you separate. This is the year you step fully into the version of yourself heaven has been waiting for. Somebody shot HER. I'm for Jews. Focus is not just a decision, it is a discipline, a posture, a spiritual stance that you choose every single day. And in a world filled with noise, opinions, and endless distractions, you must understand that not every distraction comes dressed as something harmful. Some distractions come disguised as opportunities, as relationships, as responsibilities, even as good intentions. But anything that pulls you away from your purpose, anything that drains your energy without feeding your destiny, anything that makes you lose sight of the direction God is trying to take you is a distraction that must be confronted, cut off, and eliminated, because destiny is too expensive to be shared with people who don't value it. Purpose is too powerful to be diluted by environments that don't honor it. And your future is too significant to be delayed by things that don't belong in your next season. You must recognize that distractions don't always show up as chaos. Sometimes they show up as comfort. Comfort keeps you tied to familiar places when God is trying to push you toward unfamiliar greatness. Comfort whispers, it's okay to stay the same, while calling convinces you to rise higher. And if you're not careful, comfort becomes the quiet distraction that slowly steals years from your life. You look up and realize you were meant to build, but you settled. You were meant to grow, but you paused. You were meant to rise, but you froze. You were meant to transform, but you got comfortable being who you've always been instead of evolving into who you were meant to be. There are distractions that look like love. People who claim to support you, but secretly fear your growth. People who want access to your energy, but not accountability for their own. People who want companionship, but not covenant. People who want your time, but don't want to invest in your progress. You must discern the difference between someone who is assigned to your life and someone who is simply attracted to your light. Because when you carry purpose, you attract all kinds of people. Some come to grow with you, others come to feed on you. If you don't protect your focus, you will waste emotional and spiritual energy trying to convince temporary people to stay in permanent places. You must accept that some people are seasonal, and the only reason they are still in your life is because you refuse to release them. Then there are distractions that come from your own mind, your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, your past failures replaying like a broken record. Sometimes the loudest distraction is the voice inside you telling you what you're not, instead of reminding you of what God says you are. Purpose demands clarity, and clarity cannot exist in a cluttered mind. You cannot step into a powerful future while rehearsing a powerless past. You cannot build a new chapter while rereading the old ones. You must discipline your mind to focus on what strengthens you, inspires you, elevates you, and aligns you with God's direction. Because where your mind goes, your life follows. And if you allow your mind to wander into fear, your life will wander into limitation. And if you allow your mind to dwell on negativity, your life will manifest stagnation. Focus is not just an action, it is a war, a daily battle between what wants to grow in you and what wants to stop you. Some of the greatest distractions come from obligations that were never assigned to you. You carry burdens that aren't yours. You fight battles that aren't meant for you. You invest in situations that have nothing to do with your destiny. You try to fix people who don't want to change, rescue people who enjoy drowning, uplift people who refuse to stand, and pour into people who poke holes in everything you give them. You must learn that saving others cannot come at the cost of losing yourself. There is a difference between being helpful and being drained. There is a difference between being kind and being used. There is a difference between being supportive and being suffocated. In this season, protect your focus by releasing the responsibility to carry everyone else's emotional weight. You are responsible for your growth, your peace, your alignment, your journey, not theirs. Distractions are dangerous because they don't just steal your attention, they steal your time. Time is the one currency you cannot earn back. You can recover money, you can rebuild confidence, you can reshape identity, you can repair relationships, but you cannot reclaim lost time. Every moment spent on distractions is a moment stolen from your development, your calling, your destiny. And the enemy does not need to destroy you if he can distract you. A distracted mind cannot hear God clearly. A distracted spirit cannot grow. A distracted life cannot produce fruit. The enemy doesn't always attack your strength. Sometimes he attacks your focus, because if he can scatter your attention, he can scatter your purpose. If he can occupy your mind, he can disrupt your momentum. If he can pull you away from what matters, he can keep you from becoming who you're meant to be. In 2025, your assignment is not to do more. It is to focus more, to eliminate what delays you, delete what drains you, and distance yourself from anything that does not contribute to the destiny God is shaping in you. You must set boundaries so tight that distractions suffocate before they reach you. You must guard your environment with seriousness. You must be intentional about where you go, who you allow near you, what you consume, and what you entertain. Because your destiny cannot thrive in an environment filled with noise. Purpose requires space. Growth requires silence. Transformation requires separation. Focus means saying no more often. No to unnecessary conversations. No to meaningless arguments. No to connections that feel heavy instead of healthy. No to habits that keep you small. No to commitments that sabotage your time. No to anything that interrupts your elevation. Some doors will remain locked until you learn the power of saying no. Some blessings will not flow until you protect your spiritual bandwidth. Some breakthroughs won't come until you stop being available to things that drain you. But focus also means saying yes. Yes to discipline, yes to growth, yes to healing, yes to intentionality, yes to progress, yes to self-control, yes to silence, yes to God's voice. You must say yes to the version of yourself that is waiting to come alive. Saying yes to your future often requires saying no to your present habits. Saying yes to your potential requires saying no to your comfort zone. Saying yes to your destiny requires saying no to every distraction designed to detour you. You must become unapologetic about your priorities. You must stop explaining your growth to people who aren't growing. Stop apologizing for outgrowing environments that were never meant to be permanent. Stop shrinking so others feel comfortable. Stop slowing down so others can keep up. Your life is not a group project. Your purpose is not a committee decision. Your destiny belongs to God, and your focus belongs to you. When you eliminate distractions, clarity increases. When clarity increases, confidence rises. When confidence rises, momentum builds. When momentum builds, transformation becomes unavoidable. Distractions lose power the moment you choose purpose over noise, direction over confusion, progress over comfort, destiny over delay. Protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Growth is not something that happens accidentally. It is the intentional stretching of your spirit, the daily molding of your character, the deliberate shaping of the version of yourself that God wants to elevate. You cannot walk into 2025 carrying the same mindset, the same patterns, the same fears, the same habits, and expect a different outcome. God does not elevate who you pretend to be. He elevates who you become. And becoming requires growth. Growth requires discomfort. Growth requires honesty. Growth requires separating from the person you used to be in order to embrace the person you are becoming. When you decide to prioritize personal growth, you are telling heaven, I am ready for more. I am ready for better. I am ready for transformation. And when God sees your readiness, He releases the opportunities, the wisdom, and the resources that align with your next level. Personal growth begins with self-awareness, the ability to look at yourself without flinching, without denying, without defending. It is the courage to confront the habits that have kept you stuck, the attitudes that have hindered your relationships, the fears that have stolen your boldness, the excuses that have delayed your purpose. Growth does not begin when you fix others. It begins when you face yourself, and that requires a humility that not everyone is willing to embrace, because it's easier to blame the world than it is to evaluate the mirror. But mirrors don't lie. Your patterns tell the truth. Your outcomes tell the truth. Your repeated cycles tell the truth. And until you choose to confront the truth about who you are and how you move, your future will remain held hostage by your unwillingness to grow. Growth requires discipline, not motivation, not inspiration, not excitement. Discipline, the ability to do what you need to do even when you don't feel like doing it. Motivation is seasonal. Excitement fades, inspiration fluctuates, but discipline is steady, consistent, unwavering. Discipline wakes you up when comfort says, sleep. Discipline opens books when distractions open apps. Discipline builds when excuses whisper later. Discipline prepares you for opportunities that haven't even arrived yet. Every version of you that you want to become will require a level of discipline that you have not yet mastered. But discipline grows with practice. You don't wait for growth in order to start. You start in order to grow. In 2025, personal growth means evaluating the voices you listen to. Every voice is planting something in your spirit: faith or fear, courage or doubt, clarity or confusion, elevation or stagnation. You must ask yourself, who has access to my ears? Who has influence over my decisions? Who shapes my perspective? Growth requires filtering noise and feeding your mind with wisdom. Read what stretches you. Listen to what challenges you. Sit under teaching that corrects you. Surround yourself with people who make you think bigger, work harder, dream deeper. If everyone around you is comfortable, you will never grow beyond their level. If everyone around you is intimidated by your potential, you will suppress yourself to avoid their discomfort. But when you surround yourself with expanders, people who push you, sharpen you, challenge you, elevate you, growth becomes inevitable. Another part of personal growth is emotional maturity. Emotional maturity teaches you how to respond instead of react, how to pause instead of explode, how to communicate instead of withdraw, how to forgive without forgetting the lesson. Emotional maturity is the bridge between where you are and where God wants to take you, because God will not elevate you into environments your emotions cannot handle. Your blessings require responsibility. Your next level requires stability. Your future requires emotional intelligence. You cannot grow spiritually while remaining emotionally childish. And sometimes the growth you need has nothing to do with increasing your strength. It has everything to do with managing your sensitivity. You must master the discipline of not taking everything personally, not responding to every provocation, not engaging in every conflict, not carrying every negative comment into your spirit. Personal growth is learning how to protect your peace even when the world tries to disturb it. Growth also demands healing. You cannot evolve while holding on to wounds that keep you anchored to your past. Healing is not weakness, healing is wisdom. Healing teaches you how to process pain without letting it poison you. Healing teaches you that your scars are evidence of survival, not signs of shame. Healing frees your mind so your future isn't filtered through the trauma of your yesterday. In this season, you must ask yourself, what am I still carrying that is preventing me from growing? Is it resentment, betrayal, disappointment, fear, guilt? You cannot rise while carrying weights that belong to old seasons. Growth requires release. Release is not forgetting. Release is freeing yourself from the emotional hold that memories have over your present decisions. Spiritual growth is the root of every other kind of growth. When you grow spiritually, your mindset changes, your confidence changes. Your appetite changes. Your sensitivity to purpose increases. You no longer chase validation because you understand identity. You no longer fear failure because you understand calling. You no longer compete with others because you understand assignment. Spiritual growth aligns your heart with God's heart, your plans with God's will, your pace with God's timing. And when your spirit grows, you start to see that elevation does not come from people. It comes from God. Favor does not come from popularity. It comes from alignment. Personal growth requires sacrifice. You cannot grow without letting something go. You may have to sacrifice comfort, laziness, ego, old routines, certain friendships, time-wasting habits, and familiar environments. Growth does not happen in comfort zones. Growth happens when you step into spaces that stretch you, challenges that shape you, routines that discipline you. You must be willing to give up who you were in order to become who you were created to be. Some people want elevation without transformation, platforms without preparation, blessings without discipline. But that's not how growth works. God elevates the prepared, not the passive. God promotes the faithful, not the inconsistent. God multiplies the diligent, not the distracted. In 2025, your personal growth is the signal to heaven that you are ready for the next level. God cannot elevate what you refuse to develop. He cannot expand what you refuse to strengthen. He cannot bless what you refuse to manage. When you grow your character, God grows your influence. When you grow your discipline, God grows your opportunities. When you grow your integrity, God grows your authority. Growth is the key to unlocking the next dimension of your purpose. You must commit to becoming a student again. Students listen. Students learn. Students submit to correction. Students practice. Students remain curious. Growth dies when arrogance rises. If you think you already know everything, you cannot grow into anything. In 2025, be teachable, be humble, be willing to unlearn things that no longer serve you. Be willing to relearn things that strengthen you. Be willing to learn new strategies, new perspectives, new habits, new disciplines. A growing mind is a powerful mind, and a powerful mind creates a powerful life. Every day you grow, you get closer to the version of yourself that God intended you to become. Every day you discipline yourself, you weaken the version of yourself that was holding you back. Growth is not one big leap. It is 1,000 little steps, consistent, intentional, disciplined steps. Some days growth will feel exciting, and some days it will feel exhausting. But every day you grow, you increase your capacity. And when your capacity increases, God can trust you with more. Prioritize personal growth because your destiny depends on it. You cannot enter a new year with an old mindset and expect a new outcome. You cannot step into a higher level with a lower version of yourself. Elevation without preparation becomes destruction, but elevation with preparation becomes destiny. In 2025, make the decision that you will not stay the same. Make the decision that you will not repeat the cycle. Make the decision that you will not shrink. Make the decision that you will not fear growth. Make the decision that you will not sabotage your potential. Make the decision that you will not delay your calling. Make the decision to grow consistently, intentionally, boldly. Because when you grow, God can elevate you, and heaven is ready to elevate the version of you that is willing to evolve. Separation is not always a sign of loss. It is often the first signal of transformation. Every great shift in your life requires a shedding. Every elevation requires a release. Every new season requires a separation from something, someone, or someplace that cannot travel with you into your next level. But separation is not easy because attachment is emotional. Habits feel familiar. People feel comfortable. Environments feel predictable. And the human heart clings to what it knows, even when what it knows is limiting, draining, or destroying its potential. Growing into your God-given destiny means learning the strength to detach from anything that no longer aligns with your calling. You must understand that alignment is everything. You can have talent, passion, vision, and the right heart. But if your environment does not support your purpose, your growth will suffocate. You will find yourself shrinking in rooms where you're meant to expand. You will feel yourself dimming in relationships where you're meant to shine. You will notice your goals slowing down in atmospheres that lack discipline, direction, or integrity. Detachment is not about arrogance. It is about stewardship, stewarding your time, your energy, your peace, and your purpose. Because everything connected to your life is either feeding your calling or starving it. And the longer you ignore misalignment, the more your destiny pays the price. People are often the hardest to detach from, not because they are always toxic or harmful, but because relationships are powerful. Some people brought joy into your past, but can't handle the weight of your future. Some people helped you survive a season, but cannot help you grow in the next one. Some people love who you used to be, but resist who you're becoming. And some people were only assigned for a chapter, not the entire story. It takes spiritual maturity to release someone without bitterness, without resentment, without anger, simply because you know the connection no longer aligns with where God is taking you. There will be moments where God separates you from certain people, not because they are bad, but because they are not built for the level you're stepping into. You cannot take everyone with you. Everyone cannot understand your vision. Everyone cannot respect your boundaries. Everyone cannot support your growth. Some people fear your elevation because it exposes their stagnation. Some feel uncomfortable because your growth challenges their complacency. Some secretly resent your progress because it reminds them of what they haven't done. And if you try to drag everyone with you, you will delay yourself trying to inspire people who have no desire to evolve. You cannot mentor people into maturity. You cannot force growth on someone who prefers comfort. You cannot pray someone into a destiny they refuse to pursue. Detaching from people does not always mean cutting them off. Sometimes it means repositioning them. Not everyone belongs in your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your dreams, your vulnerability, your plans. Wisdom teaches you how to love people without letting them lead your life. Wisdom teaches you how to be kind without being consumed. Wisdom teaches you how to be present without being drained. Some relationships need distance, not destruction. Some friendships need boundaries, not bitterness. But you must be willing to make the adjustments necessary for your peace and your purpose. Detachment also includes habits. Habits shape your life quietly but powerfully. They determine your mindset, your productivity, your discipline, your health, your spiritual sensitivity, your emotional capacity. Habits that no longer serve your calling must be released. You cannot carry inconsistency into a year that requires discipline. You cannot carry procrastination into a season that demands execution. You cannot carry laziness into a chapter that requires momentum. You cannot carry fear into a future that demands courage. You cannot carry negative self-talk into a destiny that requires confidence. The habits you choose to detach from today will create the greatness you walk in tomorrow. But habits cannot be changed without honesty. You must admit to yourself what is holding you back. Are you sleeping too much, scrolling too much, procrastinating too much, avoiding too much, complaining too much, worrying too much? These habits are not just behaviors, they are barriers. They block you from rising. They weaken your focus. They dilute your progress, and the only way to grow beyond them is to detach from them intentionally. Your habits must serve your purpose, not sabotage it. Detaching from old habits is not punishment, it is preparation. It is you telling God, I am ready for transformation. Environments are another powerful force that shape destiny. You cannot grow in places that don't challenge you. You cannot flourish in places that don't support you. You cannot evolve in places that celebrate your weakness but resent your strength. You cannot stay in rooms where your presence is tolerated but not valued. Sometimes God will discomfort you in an environment so you will finally walk away from it. When you feel yourself outgrowing a place, that is the Holy Spirit nudging you toward greater. When a room feels too small for your ideas, too tight for your energy, too limited for your creativity, that is God signaling that it's time to detach and rise. The wrong environment can kill the right calling. The right environment can multiply a small seed into a harvest. The voices around you matter. The atmosphere you live in matters. If you want to elevate in 2025, you must detach from environments that celebrate distraction, normalize dysfunction, encourage mediocrity, or pull you away from discipline. You need spaces that breathe life into your vision, not drain it. You need atmospheres that stretch your potential, not suffocate it. You need rooms that activate your purpose, not minimize it. Detachment is the doorway into those rooms. Detaching requires emotional strength. You will feel the pull of familiar patterns trying to bring you back. You will feel the memory of relationships tugging at your heart. You will feel the weight of your own fears whispering that you're making a mistake. But your destiny cannot be led by your emotions. Growth requires courage to move on, courage to say no, courage to step away, courage to let go, courage to trust that God will replace whatever you release with something better, stronger, healthier, and aligned. Sometimes detachment is quiet. You don't announce it. You don't argue about it. You don't justify it. You simply detach. You simply step back. You simply shift. You simply choose peace. Because silence is a powerful boundary. Distance is a powerful teacher. Separation is a powerful healer. Not every departure needs drama. Some exits are simply decisions of alignment. You must detach from the need to please everyone. That need is a prison. It keeps you saying yes when your spirit is screaming no. It makes you responsible for other people's emotions while neglecting your own. It keeps you performing instead of being authentic. You cannot fulfill your calling while living for approval. You cannot walk in purpose while fearing disappointment. You cannot grow while carrying the pressure to make everyone comfortable. Release it, detach from it. You do not need permission to grow. You do not need validation to rise. You do not need applause to evolve. Detaching also means releasing the past version of yourself, the insecurities, the mistakes, the failures, the regrets, the should have and could have moments. You cannot step into a greater future while clinging to an outdated identity. You cannot walk like a leader while thinking like a wounded survivor. You cannot dream boldly while holding on to memories that make you feel small. Sometimes the hardest person to detach from is the outdated version of you, the version that settled, the version that doubted, the version that feared, the version that hid, the version that lived beneath its potential. You must detach from that version so the healed, confident, disciplined, focused version can emerge. In 2025, detachment is not abandonment, it is alignment. It is not isolation, it is elevation. It is not coldness, it is clarity. It is not selfishness, it is stewardship. You are not detaching because you don't care. You are detaching because you care about your purpose, your peace, your growth, your calling, your destiny. Detachment makes room for better. When you release what no longer belongs, God fills the empty space with what does. When you release old relationships, He sends aligned connections. When you release harmful habits, He strengthens new discipline. When you release limiting environments, He opens doors into fruitful ones. When you release outdated identities, He reveals your true self. Detachment prepares you for divine replacement. In this season, you must become fearless about who and what you walk away from. Heaven is waiting. Elevation is waiting. Growth is waiting. Destiny is waiting. But nothing will change until you detach from what's holding you back. Your future doesn't begin when the year changes. It begins when you change. And sometimes the first step of that change is letting go. Detach boldly, detach peacefully, detach intentionally, because everything you release in this season is making room for everything God is preparing in the next.